brave never fall. On my never-ending quest to be as balanced as possible, which is an everyday trial and error endeavor, an adventure that I've been on for years now, once I realized being balanced was not something physically that people always think about. The balance is the balance between everything that is you, everything that makes up you, which is your mind, your body, your heart, and your soul. All of those things make you who you are. You are nothing without all of those elements. If any one of those elements are unbalanced, you will find yourself in a place of darkness. And not only that, you will find yourself in a place where you feel trapped in your own mind, your own body, your own soul, and in your own heart. I feel it's the duty of every person to try to balance yourself out as much as possible. Because when you do that, you will inevitably be able to deal with whatever life brings you so much more efficiently, with more confidence, with more purpose, and you will feel like a better person. You will feel your value go up. And it's very subtle. The changes are very subtle. The problem is that it's hard to look at all of these elements as a whole and try to figure it all out as a whole, which is why breaking anything down and everything down into components is very important. It's a unique tool that I use all the time. I talk about it all the time. You take any object, any situation, any person, and you break that person down, that thing down, that place down, the situation, into as small as components as you possibly can get. So now you have individual pieces you can deal with. They're smaller issues. And once you figure out each issue, one by one with patience, but figuring those pieces out efficiently and effectively, trying to get each piece figured out to closest to 100% as you possibly can, they add up big time. Suddenly, when you're rebuilding these pieces and figuring out these situations, these people, these places, all these scenarios that cause you all the stress in life, causes you the darkness, the failure, the pain, the anxiety, the depression, the doubt, the fear, all the worries that we have as human beings trying to navigate ourselves through this long life. When you can rebuild things from their smallest components, really get that blueprint figured out. You know and examine everything. You know every corridor. You know where all the pipes go. You are in control now. That blueprint is yours. And you can file it away and come back to it whenever you want because you figured it out. You know the secret now to whatever it is that you were trying to figure out. The problem is, not only can you figure that out for other people in places and things, you can figure that out. You can get the blueprints for those things. You also have to figure out the blueprint for yourself. And the only way to do that is to break yourself down into the smallest pieces possible. And you're going to rebuild, you're going to recreate a person that you were meant to be. How do you do that? Balance. You have to be balanced. Take each single component and break it down. But you do not need to do it all at once. Some people can. Or maybe they give off the illusion that they can. I recommend you take it one piece at a time. One piece at a time. I recommend you start with your mind. Because the mind would be the hardest thing to break. It will take the longest. Anybody can lose weight. Anybody can have a change of heart. Anybody can find spirituality. Those things are simple and easy to find if you want them. They're not nearly as hard as people claim to be. That's the easy part. The hard part is trying to connect it to the thing that will challenge you the most. Your mind. Your mind is what's going to stop you from making progress with your heart. It's going to halt you from trying to find some type of spirituality that will give you some confidence and some reassurance. And it certainly will make you feel as if you can't get out of bed every day, that you can't walk out that door every day, that you physically can't do things. The mind, that's what you have to try to figure out. That's the beast. That's the Titan. That is the one thing that will hurt you when you least expect it. And it would definitely devastate you when you do expect it. Because we all know, hey, when things go wrong, that mind starts racing. It's going to start telling you, hey, you need to get back to being comfortable as quickly as possible. That's not a good feeling. So it's your duty to find out how to overcome that. And the only way to do that is you have to break it down into components. You have to make a commitment to yourself and to your future self that you are willing to do whatever it takes to become as balanced as possible. And you have to be bold in doing it. You can't waver on this. You can't do this half-assed. This has to be a full-blown assault on the person you are. You are going to go to battle so you can avoid a war with yourself, with your future self. You don't want to sabotage what you could possibly be in life. Being on balance will get you on a road of non-recovery real quick. Because once you get on the road of being on balance and it goes on for too long, you get out of control, you are going to crash. The accident, the inevitable accident will happen. And then it will be too late. You will have lost all the blueprints. You would have lost all of the things, the tools, all the aid, everything you had would be lost because you didn't take action at the right moment, at the right time. You didn't recognize the signs. You didn't make the right turns. You veered off the path. It's your commitment. You have to make an allegiance to yourself. And it sounds weird to say it like that, but you almost have to look at yourself as if you're someone else. Because ultimately you're trying to do that. That's what being balanced is all about. You want to be able to see yourself as someone else. See yourself through someone else's eyes and walk in someone else's shoes alongside yourself to see, what are you really made of? Are you really tough enough? Are you really what you think you are? The only way to do that is you have to take a step back. That's why looking in a mirror is so damn important. It's very important because you get to see who you are. You can look into your own eyes and see what's hiding behind them. You can pull back the curtains of your own soul and see what you're really made of. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be honest with yourself. If you're overweight, you got to do something about it. If you're tired of being bullied because of your race or your gender, your sexual preference, you got to do something about it. But you certainly can't blame other people. You have to get the blueprints out and you got to figure yourself out. How are you going to handle it? You can't expect everyone else to just stop just because you want them to. You can't expect life to just hold still while you figure it out. Life goes on with or without you. It's your legacy you're going to leave behind. And it's not something that I think you should take lightly. You are in control of it. I find people put way too small of a value on their lives. They forget how unique they really are. Which is why having faith in yourself and what you can be is so important. It's so vital to not only you, but the people around you. Especially if you feel like you're on the cusp. You're almost there. You know you're close to being balanced. The rare few that know that they're close to being balanced, you're right on the cusp. And that road is going to fork on you. Which road are you going to take? Because when you hit the fork in the road, when you know it's that moment, when the biggest decision seems like it can't get any bigger, it's the toughest decision of all. Oftentimes, that decision that seems to be the harder one usually ends up being the right one. It usually ends up being the right one. If it's tough, it usually is the right decision. You have to take it. You have to take it. Because if you don't take it, you're taking your own self for granted. You're assuming everything's going to be fine. And assuming anything in life, as we all know, is a dangerous, dangerous thing to think about. Because you're not in control of assumptions. Assumptions is almost equivalent to wishing and hoping and luck. There's nothing wrong with all those things. You don't want to take assumptions with your life. You want to try to be in control as much of your life as you possibly can. You have to respect the process. It's going to be so hard, you're going to want to give up every single day. That's what being balanced is all about, is trying to fight against those forces that are going to make you try to give up. That force that tells you, your brain in the morning when you know you need to get up and get active and get after it that day, and it's telling you 5 more minutes of sleep. You can't. You can't do it. It's those things. It's that self-discipline. You have to remind yourself in those moments what you're trying to do. Those goals you set for yourself, they are still there. They're never going to go away. They're always in your mind. If you thought of a goal, it's going to stay in your mind. It's never going to go away. And that goal will torment you. Because once you plant things in your mind, it doesn't go away. Things that you want, once they're planted in your brain, there's no way you can forget about it. That's why a lot of times people are numbing themselves out there. They're going to drugs, they're going to sex, they're going to parties, and they're going to money and trying to figure out all these other things to numb and black out what's really going on upstairs in that brain. What's really going on in that mind, in their heart. They feel lost. They feel out of control. They assumed things were going to go right, and they certainly didn't. Now they're lost in limbo with their own life. It's that reliability you can have with yourself, that special relationship you can have with yourself, along with the commitment and the allegiance that you should have with yourself, the pact that you should have with yourself. It's almost like a contract. Guarantee your future self that you are going to at least give yourself the opportunity and put forth the best effort. The journey starts when you want it to start. That path is never that far away from you. You just have to find it and get on it and start walking it. There's no such thing as a wrong direction. Just start moving. You'll figure it out. Ultimately, you will figure it out. You have to start moving, though. That's your duty. It's your responsibility to yourself. That is your job. That is the greatest job you ever have. Is the responsibility to yourself and your mind, your heart, your soul, and your body. It is your temple. You want people in your life to have value? Do them the favor and give them back the same value you want from them. You want a better job? Put forth the effort with yourself as much as you want that job. However hard it is to get that job and however hard it is you're going to perform at that job, take that same enthusiasm and intensity and apply it to your own life. That's what it's all about. Your life should not be a chore. When you wake up in the morning, you shouldn't look at your life as a chore, as some kind of a little small task that somebody would give someone in passing. That's not what your life is. Your life is the grand scale of anything you could think of job-wise. You are the greatest job you will ever have. You have to look at your life that way. Too many people wake up and they prioritize things like their jobs, their cars, their houses, far more than they do their own lives. And then they wonder why they feel like crap every day. They wonder why things aren't going quite as well as they would like. Why they have all the money in the world and they're taking these vacations and they have all these things that seem like they're so good, but they're hollow inside. What good is all that stuff if you feel like you're not the person you want to be? And better yet, you should be. There's nothing more dangerous than a person who is walking around in life feeling like they have failed themselves, that they haven't given forth enough effort to find out who they are. They want more out of life, they're not happy, but society and family and friends and all these outside influences have warped their mind and their lifestyle enough where they feel like the person they are is good enough for everyone else, but it's not good enough for themselves. If you don't feel like you're the type of person who would do all these things that you're normally doing in everyday life, if you wake up every day and you have a routine and you're doing that routine and everything seems great, everyone's praising you, you seem to have a good day, you're not asking for much out of a day, just living. Nothing wrong with that. And you have the other people who have more money than they could ever spend in a lifetime. Everything's great. It's life, right? But there's only one thing missing. You just feel like that's what other people want you to do. You'd rather be doing other things. You just fell into this cycle. You got mixed up with the wrong people for far too long. You went along with the norm. You didn't accept the unique person you are. You didn't get out the blueprints. You didn't go back and reread your contract that you made for yourself years ago. You lost sight of who you were. Everybody has a vision of who they were, what they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to look like, how much money they're supposed to have, what type of family they're supposed to have, how many vacations they're going to take, what type of hobbies they're going to get involved in, what type of adventures they want to do. These are all things that make up an individual, not a collective. You fit into the collective once you've figured out yourself as an individual. It's really that simple. Your life isn't an assignment. It isn't something to be taken as some kind of a report where you just kind of fill out all the information and you hand it in. That's not your life. That's not your life. Your life isn't a Scantron test, if anybody can remember what those are. You're not a test. You're not a final in college. You're not a thesis paper. You are a lifelong biography that started the moment you were conceived. So in that respect, there's no amount of research you can do in the world to actually complete that biography. It will be completed after you're gone. Your biography will continue to be written, hopefully, long after you're gone. That's called a legacy. That's called leaving behind an essence of yourself that will carry on for at least a few more generations. That's the type of person you want to be. And it doesn't require a ton of money. It does not require the best job in the world, the best cars, the best houses. It just requires a well-balanced, well-rounded, high-value person that brought joy to other people's lives, that helped when they needed the help, that were there for people, that didn't turn on people, they didn't lie constantly to everyone else, and they figured out their flaws, they forgave other people, they forgave themselves. And they were comfortable in their own skin, and they lived their lives the best way they knew how, which was the best version they could possibly be for themselves. And that's all anybody can ask in this lifetime at its most simplest form. Everything else is a bonus. Are you required to do these things in life? No. Should you be loyal to your future self? I would think so. But I would say when you're living life and there's things that happen in your life where you feel like the bottom has dropped out and you don't know what to do, I often find balance is the best way to start getting a hold onto things and starting off fresh. Just kind of taking a step back, taking a deep breath and saying, let me balance myself out. I have to do it multiple times a day, let alone throughout the year. Each individual is different. Each life lived on this planet is different. Each one has a different path. Some people are comfortable where they are in life at all times, and there's nothing wrong with that. This message is for people who feel like there is more out there. That you have a duty to yourself, your duty. You have to answer the call for yourself, for your life. It's about you. I can't say that enough. It's about you. If you don't figure out you, no one else will ever come close to figuring you out. They will figure out a version of you that you portray. It's an illusion. It's a projection. It's a false cast member in a stage play. If you don't feel like you are who you believe you should be. If you want more out of life, go get it. That's your duty. Again, once that seed is planted in your brain that you want more, there's nothing that should prevent you from getting it. You should get as close to that as you possibly can. That's your duty. Your duty is to become the best person you possibly can be, based on the blueprint you provided for yourself when you decided that you wanted to look at all the different aspects and break yourself down into all the little pieces and look at the picture for what it is. You create this. This is your vision of yourself. You create this. You design the blueprint. You're the architect of your life and your future. No one else. It's your duty alone. If no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.